Hello and welcome to the TechBytes audiocast. My name's Tim and I'm from the TechBytes blogazine, and with me is Dr. Roy Shestowitz from the TechBytes website.
It's Friday night and I'm gonna get sauce. I fought the troll and the troll lost. I fought the troll and the troll lost. He tried to boss me and was outbossed. I fought the troll and the troll lost. I fought the troll and the troll lost. Underneath this Freeper Bridge, hoping goats will cross. Quoting Ashcroft and Tom Ridge.
Hello and welcome. This is the TechBytes audiocast. It's April 13th, 2014, and I'm back from a 1-year hiatus, or possibly more. Thank you for downloading the audiocast, and I think we'll get on with the show. And Roy, I'd just like to say it's very good to be back.
It's good to have you back. I mean, I spent the past almost 1 year just mostly doing shows with Richard Stallman. Well, I cannot really complain about it, but it was just a way of keeping the show going in some form.
It's been an interesting year, and a lot changes. And I'm currently busy with my second novel, although I'm still waiting for my first one to be released. And yes, I've been very, very busy in my personal and in my professional life as well. So it's thrown very quickly, and I'm looking forward to get back in the swing of things. Possibly next couple of months when things settle down, I'll be back on the show. But it's very strange because it doesn't seem like I've been away at all. And apart from a different show of sorts, it's pretty much the same as it always was. So with that in mind, I expect you've got a plethora of topics.
Yeah, we really have an abundance of topics to chat about. As a bit of background, you and I spoke a week ago, last weekend I think, or Friday, something like that, and we were going through the things we were going to cover, and obviously some personal things, but that's not for the show, family related stuff. But the point that kind of occurred to me is there's so much stuff that's been happening. We never touched it. We never expressed an opinion on it. And a lot of things tend to be repetitive when you mention them time after time, but slight variations each time you bring up a topic. But in this case, since we haven't done a proper show in a while, we've got the UK policy, for instance, pro open source policy and pro ODF policy to speak about. We've got all sorts of news about Nokia. We've got things to do with Yola. I don't think we ever covered Yola properly on a show. Firefox OS. If we want to speak about Mozilla, I suppose we can also talk about all kinds of gossip and things that don't have much to do with technical issues. And, Amazon surveillance. We barely covered any of the NSA stuff. We did cover a lot of the WikiLeaks stuff when we started the first season in 2010, but we haven't really mentioned much of the GCHQ and NSA stuff. So I think the next few shows will be quite interesting because there's plenty we can cover, and we don't even have to plan a show. We can just bring up a topic and go and flow with it.
Yeah, it's definitely been changed for me as well. My desktop habits, for want of a better word, have changed. I'm now virtually completely in the cloud. I'm currently running this Mumble software through Peppermint 4, and that's merely virtually just a cut-down version of Ubuntu with a browser front-end shoved on it. With my work that I've been doing recently, I found that my needs have migrated me not by choice, but by necessity to the cloud. So I've got a very different take, or I say a very different take, a slightly different take on a lot of subjects which I had strong opinions of.
So one thing we could start talking about, I mean, this is not really an argument we had before, and you just mentioned it yesterday, and I think also a week ago, some of your browsing habits and your work habits when it comes to so-called cloud. And what I do realize is that this is not really a new thing for you. You were promoting various things like Peppermint even a few years back, and these are operating systems that were built around what we now know to be things that are tightly integrated with Prism and some of the programs of the surveillance networks. So the one thing that I wonder if you've seen is Condoleezza Rice is now on the board of of Dropbox. And her role officially, or at least based on the announcement, is that she will be in charge of privacy. And are you still there?
Yes.
Yes. So here you have a person that I don't think people quite realize played a significant role in promoting ICANN, and back in 2005, and I recall this from memory, was lobbying very hard to keep the control of the internet under the US government's wing. So she has a lot to do with the surveillance, not just with the torture, but many people concentrate on the fact that she was pro-torture.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've been writing now for almost a year about how Dropbox is exceptionally dangerous because of prison. But even before that, I was warning people in terms of service. Terms of service are basically changing. People have to accept them or be prevented from accessing their files. And this is not the only thing. Of course, almost everything you can say about Dropbox, which doesn't use encryption, you can say about all the other services like this G Drive, and I think Microsoft calls it Live Drive. And why would people want to give away their files for supposed cheap storage and bandwidth?
Yeah, it's a very good point, and like I say, my views probably on the cloud are slightly altered over the years, especially now. If you look at Google Drive, for example, that's what I'm currently using, and you look at the sort of prices, it works out at about, at the moment, I think $199 for 100 megabytes, gigabytes, and that equates to about £1.40 currency. For people like myself, and I'm using GDocs at the moment because it's very handy when I'm typing up my novel and doing an edit that other people have real-time access to that document. It saves a lot of time, me being able to see the corrections that they want made, notes put into the margins for what they want to see or what they don't want to see. So for that type of service, there is no real open source equivalent for me. Yes, sure, I could use it. One of the open source Office suites, but I don't get direct access to Google Docs. However, I will counteract that in a second with something else that I recently have been trying out. I've always had issues with storing data on the cloud in terms of people's privacy, and I wouldn't want to cheapen anybody's concerns about privacy. Of course, there are many people out there who have completely silly notions about what the government is doing and not doing, and I'm not talking about the concerns that we get these days of government intrusion into people's data, because that has happened and we've obviously seen that being reported in the press. But there comes a time when, for example, like me, I've collected a massive digital photographs. In fact, I can't remember the last time that we took something down to the Photoshop to print and get a physical copy of. I think a couple of pictures of the kids for the wall, but that was about it. And so all my kids' pictures and all the family pictures all need to be stored somewhere, and I can store them on a CD-ROM or a DVD, whatever, and I can store them on a hard disk, an SSD, or whatever. But the nice thing about having them on a Google Drive or something similar is the fact that I'm almost guaranteed that data's safe. And I know there's been issues with Google, and I know it's possible that the files can be deleted and corrupted and stolen and whatever. But I've got to look at it as risk assessment, and I've got to decide whether the risk of putting them on there counteracts the risk of not putting them on there. And for me, having those documents, and I have broken DVDs with all my pictures on before, and I have had the need to go to the Google Drive and use that backup to get all my photos back again. And also the fact that I can access it anyway. I don't have to take a disc with me. I don't have to take a USB stick or anything like that, which is another convenient tool. I mean, I don't have any concerns about privacy because the type of stuff that I would put on there is the stuff that I don't particularly care if anybody in authority, in quotes, would look at, because it's, for example, my novel is on there. Now, if they want to steal that and start releasing it under their own name, then fine, they'll have copyright issues from my agent and my publisher, which is their concern, not mine. So there's nothing really personal on there. And I would treat the internet, in any case, or any sort of public service, telephone or a mobile phone or whatever, as not personal anyway. You put your data, you send your voice out into the ether, and I always expect that somebody else is listening that you don't want to.
But the expectation doesn't make it okay.
No,
So
it doesn't,
what you're
no.
saying is you don't have the expectation. should
But
we not change the law then
yeah,
to say that you should have the expectation?
But the problem is, and this comes back to GCHQ and the whole fiasco over the snooping of data.